Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of February. I hope you're well. It's pretty windy here today, so I hope the microphone's not picking up too much. I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss. No, I'm not. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you. Cool. Where am I? Come back. What do I have to tell you? What date is it? 29th of January. So as I am recording this, Venus is stationing rather, to go direct. I think that's right. So it's the end of that retrograde motion, but we still have Mercury in retrograde. Everything's going to start going direct before too long in February. So there will be movement, but I think that Saturn is around and doing things, and that's slowing down the motion of Mercury, which is usually really, really fast. So any changes that happen this month, they will be slow, but they will pick up pace gradually. So something to be aware of. If the reading resonates with you, there will be an extended at the end. You can access that from the description box below. There'll be a link down there. And obviously, if you are a patron, you get access to the extended content for no extra cost. So let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Cancer. Can I have 3 cards for Cancer, please? Okay. The first card you have is the 7 of Cups. The second card that you have is 2 of Wands. Interesting that we should have been just talking about changes and, you know, decisions and things. And what's coming towards Cancer, please, for February? Okay. We've got opportunity knocking, I think. So at the bottom of the deck we've got the Emperor card. It's fire element energy, it's Aries, and it's associated with action, right? It's planning and strategy, and so it's kind of like the step before you take any action here, Cancer. This is all about planning here at the moment, and we'll get to February over there in a second, but it looks like, hang on, let me just get the clarifiers out and then I'll tell you what I think. Right, tell me about the 7 of Cups. 5 of Swords and the 9 of Swords. Tell me about the 2 of Wands, please. 8 of Wands. 6 of Wands. And the Death card. Oh God, that was bang on the nail, wasn't I? Right, tell me about the 8 of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. Oh, amazing. We've got the King of Wands, we've got the 9 of Cups, and we have the 8 of Wands here. Yeah, I called it straight out. I was just mic drop and just leave now. I've told you all the things. So, 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of this deck, but we do have the 10 of Pentacles sitting behind that. Now, the 5 of Pentacles talks about it's poverty of any description, right? So it's it can be a fear of poverty too, a fear of lack. And because I see the Pentacles as energetic currency, it can be of your time, your care, your effort, your money, your energy. It could be a feeling of being, you know, a little run down in some ways. It can be a spiritual poverty also, you know, I just want things to be a little bit better than they are. You know, feel a bit more connected and closer to something. But the 10 of Pentacles is right behind it. And we'll get to what it is that's standing between you and the 10 of Pentacles right now, actually. Because in your recent past, we have this 7 of Cups, right? That's why this heater's like obnoxious with its light right now. Let's just turn it off. The 7 of Cups is all about confusion. It's about there being so many things that you don't quite know how you feel about, that it becomes this sprawling mass of possibilities, potential, and also catastrophe, right? There is a feeling of catastrophizing here somewhat, Cancer, with this. Right. And it's like, which one of these cups do I choose? Which one indicates the right way for me? And the meaning of this card is that you have literally no fucking idea at the moment, right? But we have these 2 very challenging Swords cards here to clarify. Now, the Nine of Swords is anxiety. It is overthinking. It is sometimes insomnia, and you know, it can be everything right the way through to mental illness here. But the Five of Swords tells me here that there's something that you have not been thinking particularly clearly about. I mean that's kind of obvious in a way, right? Because we've got this Seven of Cups, but it feels a little bit more than that. It feels like a reaction, and it feels like it's a reaction to something that has, like in the best tradition of triggers, you know, you're actually reacting to something from the past rather than the thing that is right in front of you here. Tell me about this Five of Swords, please. We've got the Strength card. And we've got the King of Pentacles here, right? We've got the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck, yeah. You're focusing on the wrong thing, or you have been focusing on the wrong thing up until this point. But the Strength card and the King of Pentacles would suggest that there is, in the first instance, you're kind of failing to see how much you've grown, and perhaps you've outgrown something, and this is where the confusion is coming in. That's entirely possible. But there's also this sense of duty and responsibility that is implied by the King of Pentacles here. You know, perhaps you have been struggling to make ends meet in some sort of way, right? And this is triggering off an old wound of, you know, growing up poor or something like that. There's a real sense of focusing on something other than what the actual issue is. Now, this Strength card talks about growth, and the fact that yeah, like catastrophization is right. You have been catastrophizing a little bit because the situations are not the same, right? The level of responsibility that you feel right now may be altogether an order of magnitude bigger than it was the last time that you experienced this issue, but the situations are not the same, and you have much more power in this situation than you think that you do. It's just that because you are focusing, or have been focusing, on the wrong thing up until now, it seemed like a big insurmountable wall of crap that you've had to get over to be able to properly discharge your duties and responsibilities. And, you know, I mean, this might be a work thing, this could be a family thing, you know, if you've got children, you could see how that would be amplified. But it's with the King of Pentacles, in addition to that sense of responsibility and duty and being in charge of things, and I'll bring you back to the Emperor card that we got at the bottom of the deck here, it also speaks about providing for others, because that's something that the King of Pentacles is very, very engaged with as an idea. So again, you know, if you have dependents and things like that, that might well be something that's triggering this off. But when we move into your current energy, we have the Two of Wands. Here is your crossroads moment. Here are decisions for you to be making, but they also imply change. Change is ahead because you've been going in a straight line and you've hit a fork in the road. So now, do you take the left-hand path or do you take the right-hand path, right? And this Two of Wands is about standing there and kind of working out the consequences of going one way over another, and then, you know, then deciding whether that is something that you are comfortable with. And to clarify, we have the Six of Wands and we have the Death card here. It's time for change, Cancer, and there's absolutely no doubt about that, not with this Death card in here. But perhaps the issue is that you, I mean, I'll pull another card to clarify this, is that you are trying to keep everything as same as possible. And actually what the energy is trying to push you to do here, the reason why it's so uncomfortable, is because the change that needs to come in is an order of magnitude bigger than you had initially planned. Let's get this, because death isn't a minor adjustment. Not at all. That is a full transformation of the circumstances, a full transformation of the situation. Right. Thank you. We have the Two of Cups, we have the Two of Wands, and we have the Judgment card here. Yeah. So focus potentially on relationships here. We've got the Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. That is talking about that mental restriction. The reason why everything is so confusing, the reason why everything feels like it's so difficult, is because your thinking is being trammeled along a very narrow set, between narrow parameters, and you need to think outside of the box. This is where the energy is trying to push you here, because holding on to what has been isn't really an option for you at this point now. Like I said, probably a relationship issue here, although it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be familial, it can be friends, it can be even work colleagues. Actually, if the two things, if your work situations and your work relationships kind of are something that's having an effect on your here and now, then we can see that. The Two of Wands is coming out again, really confirming the fact that it is now time for you to make a decision and you to do something big, because we have the Judgment card here, although in this deck it's called Awakening, and I love that. I really do, because we've got an angel emerging from basically a flesh suit. Actually, it's very artfully done, but that is what is going on there, right? It's being called to ascend in a particular way, right? It's being called actually to transcend a situation, we might say. But when the Death card and the Judgment card come up together, it's asking you to go back to the drawing board. The way that you thought you wanted to go was too small. It didn't change enough things. It didn't create enough space. This is saying go back to the drawing board and look at it again. How can you make this bigger? How can you expand what you are planning to change? Because that's where victory lies for you, right? And when we come into February, we have the Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. Now remember what I said before about Mercury being in retrograde and how Saturn was doing something. I was just kind of slowing everything down. And this is important because Saturn is the planet of good groundwork, good foundations, kind of getting your head down and really working at something, right? To achieve mastery. Ultimately, that's what it wants you to do. But it's also about delayed gratification, right? It's kind of like slowing you down, pulling you back, going, make sure you have done this properly. Make sure you have done your homework. Make sure you have done your groundwork, right? Go back to the fucking drawing board and think about this again, right? Now, as the Eight of Pentacles appears here, this is as a direct result of the effort that you are putting in right now, later in February, because we have the Knight of Wands. Right? We go from this state of being relatively inert and not being able to move in any particular direction to the Knight of Wands suddenly appearing here. As a result of the groundwork that you have put in, it feels like opportunity to me. It's quite spontaneous too. I mean, the energy of the Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands are somewhat at odds with themselves, except that because one is a direct consequence of the other, what you have here is this going back, checking, making sure you did it again. I mean, that's Mercury retrograde energy all over. But when you throw Saturn into the mix as well, then what you've got is a doubling down on that energy. And it's like, I know you would like to move, I know you would like to change, but actually step back, look at this again. What can you do differently? Where is your thinking too narrow about this? What, and then, as an extension of that, what are you holding on to? What are you trying to prevent from ending exactly here? What are you uncomfortable about? Because you seem to be being pushed into a level of discomfort that is asking you to change everything. right? And that's how it happens. If we weren't uncomfortable, we wouldn't fucking move. We would stay in our comfort zone. It's called a comfort zone for a reason. You're being asked to push out beyond that. Now, the cards that clarify it are the King of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the Eight of Wands here. And this is fascinating, because the Knight of Wands is the opportunity, but the King of Wands is about really going after that, but it's going after that in a mature way. We're not talking about, just reckless opportunism, right? This is you having put in the work and created a space, because I think that's what's necessary here, Cancer. There isn't enough space for what it is that you want to bring in. And then with the wisdom and the experience of the King of Wands, but also the fire that you need to get things moving, we've got this going on. Now, the Nine of Cups is interesting, because there's almost a sense that you haven't been thinking properly about what makes you happy. Now, I'll come back to the Seven of Cups here. Maybe at this point you're not entirely sure what will make you happy, and so you're kind of holding on to what was before in the vain hope that whatever's ailing that thing will just sort itself out, and it's not going to do that. We've got endings being implied here, and so what might be taking the work would be really sitting with your own emotions and sitting with the idea of what it is that brings value to your life. Proper value, not what's being clung to, but what actually brings value. And then focusing on that, because this Eight of Wands, it's about things moving very, very swiftly. It's about things picking up suddenly where they were slow, where they were kind of stagnant, where there was an inability to move in the way that we want. Here it's opening up, right? And like I said, it'll start slow in February, but it will gain momentum really quite quickly. Once you are absolutely certain of what it is that you want, because I feel like you're not at the moment. So I'm going to go over to Vimeo now, and I'm going to unpack February a little bit more. If you would like to join me over there, please do feel free. If not, not to worry at all. I will see you for the mid-months in a wee short while. This is not bad energy, Cancer. I know it's frustrating, but if you can just kind of swallow that frustration and go back to the drawing board, I think that what you can achieve is an order of magnitude bigger than what you've been trying to up until this point. Okay, right, know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.